Kiss the Alderman, retail bar.
Can I just say, he's written these down, so I hope you can remember them.
Yeah. Do you still cut hair now?
Oh, not so much now, Robert.
For these sixth formers...
Yes.
A hand lion... that can either lick or strike was what was used to express praise or the opposite to these 17 or 18-year-old students.
And it was very effective.
Our next round is called This Is My, where we bring on a mystery guest who has a close connection to one of our panellists. Now, this week, each of Lee's team will claim it's them that has the genuine connection to the guest, and it's up to David's team to spot who's telling the truth. So please welcome this week's special guest, Keith. Bob, first of all. Bob, what is Keith to you?
This is Keith. He's my oldest friend, and when we were at school together, we hid a dictophone in the classroom ceiling to confuse our teacher.
David Harewood?
This is my old teacher, Keith. I once had to claim I wasn't me when I met him in a cafe, as I was in character preparing for Homeland.
And finally, Lee, your relationship with Keith.
This is Keith, and his hawk...
Yes.
Yes, I'll admit, David, it's a difficult start. But go with it. Yeah. This is Keith. And his hawk was supposed to land on my arm at a village fete, but instead stole the wig from the man next to me and flew off into a tree.
So there we are. It's Bob's classroom prankster, it's David's blanked buddy, or it's Lee's hawk handler. David's team, where do you start?
So, yes, David, he was a teacher at your school?
Very briefly.
What, a whole lesson?
I mean, I don't know if... I mean, I would see him.
But he didn't teach you?
No, not teach me.
He was someone who hung around a school, and he was... Charitably, you assumed he was a teacher.
But if he was at the school a short period of time, how did you even recognise him in the cafe?
Oh, I knew it was him. He walked into the cafe and he said, "Hi, David," and basically I blanked him. It was literally the month before I went to America when I was doing Homeland, and I'd just been to see my dialect coach. He basically said I have to stay in my American voice. So
could you not have explained that to him in your American voice? I'm sorry, buddy, but I'm doing a roll here.
I don't think it was ever as good as that, John, to be fair.
I basically just had to say, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I'm remembering you now. Do the voice a bit more straight.
I said, I don't know what you're talking about.
Ooh, that did weird things to me.
So your dialect coach said, you're in this role, you need to stay in this character.
Yeah.
Now the lesson's over, let's go to a very public place.
Yeah.
We are likely to encounter several people.
Well, that's what you have to do. You have to stay in that voice. You have to have the confidence to stay in your voice.
Why can't you just, turn it on like an actor?
Oh, that's a cheap shot, Sarah.
I have to say, I did phone him up afterwards and apologise.
So you had his number?
You stayed in touch with the teacher you barely remember.
Would it be fair to say the hawk's looking a bit more plausible?
So, David, who would you like to question next?
Bob, remind us of your allegation.
When we were at school together, we hid a dictaphone machine in the ceiling tiles to interrupt the lesson.
So not to record, but to play stuff?
Yeah.
What sort of stuff?
Well, it was important to keep a gap at the beginning, so we let it run for about 15 minutes. And then there was the noise of a fly. For a brief period, then another period, to confuse the teacher.
Where would you get the noise from the fly? You'd make the noise.
We'd make the noise ourselves,
Let's
I'm not paying for no fly to do it.
Let's hear your fly.
It does sound like a fly.
Can I hear your bee?
We didn't do a bee.
Do you know how to do a bee? Just like that fly.
Oh, no, it's more wholesome if it's a bee, isn't it?
Show me the difference, David.
Well, I don't know, I'm not
do
Well,
it.
I would say, OK, a bee would be a sort of a foot...
No, that's a
Whereas
bumblebee.
a fly is
Yeah. Very good. That's good. Very good.
Right.
Do you see the way he just slipped straight in and out of character?
So you
So yes, there
hide
was
it.
silence,
Yeah.
then a little bit of fly, silence, a little bit of fly, and then, quite loudly, but not to frighten anyone, the word wolf. Then more silence. Yeah?
Oh,
Bit more silence. Then
yeah.
Speedway Stadium. Like that.
Speedway Stadium.
Do you know, the idea was just to say kind of random things. He was a really nice teacher called Bill Whitlingham.
How did Bill Whitlingham react to these random sounds?
Well, Mr. Whitlingham left the room and said, "Can you sort this out by the time I've gone back? Can you sort whatever it is that's going on?" And there was a cupboard in the corner where, interesting, it had like exercise books in it, pens and that, but it also had, in a little cage, a hand lion, which is a robotic, it's a battery-operated thing.
Are you just saying any words that come into your head in any order? Well,
It's a hand lion, and if you've been-
hand lion?
It's a robotic, animatronic hand lion, yeah? And if you'd been particularly good, he would put it on your hand and set it to lick it. Lick it. If you'd been particularly...
Is this like a clockwork lion?
No, it was remote control.
It was remote control?
Remote control. He had the controller in his desk, and he said, you've
the
been
actual
such a
hand
good boy.
lion-
Get out the hand lion, and you'll get a lick. And if you'd been bad, you put him on your hand and he'd strike. He'd strike at your hand.
So the hand lion had two settings. It could lick or it could strike.
Yes, good boy, bad boy.
Right, very
Good boy,
sensible.
bad boy. Now, the only problem with it, of course, was...
what, this story?
It would... The only problem was, of course, if the batteries got low, it would get constipated. No, anyway, but in this cupboard, so we got up on the cupboard.
You climb onto the cupboard that
Yes.
the hand lion is housed in.
Probably asleep.
Right, you reach up onto the ceiling tile,
Take out the dictaphone.
switch it off.
Yep.
Mr. Whitlingham
Yes.
comes back in.
Yes.
What happens?
He's nervously awaiting another, edict from above.
Yeah.
Doesn't come, we carry on with the lesson. British government and politics it was.
There was a
what was
lesson called British Government and Politics?
Yeah.
Whole year on that?
2 years, it was A-level.
For these sixth formers,
Yes.
a hand lion... a hand lion that can either lick or strike was what was used to express praise or the opposite to these 17 or 18-year-old students.
And it was very effective.
All right. Would you like to move on to the final claim?
So, Lee, tell the story about Keith.
I was at a village fete, and
Why were you at a village fete?
I was helping out.
What village?
Thames Ditton.
Why were you helping out at Thames Ditton Fete?
Because I don't live too far away from there, and they asked me to help out, and I did a few little things, like I did a bit of tombola, a bit of announcing. Then I went over to judge the pig racing. The usual things you do at a fete, you know.
The pig racing?
Yeah. I don't know why I judged it, because surely first past the post, but...
Well, no,
I was doing case of a dead heat.
and what happened with the hawk and Keith and the wig?
One of the things I had to do was to volunteer to stand there and learn. He had the little headpiece on where he'd teach the crowd basic falconry, I believe we called it. I stick the glove on and then hold this little thing. I don't know what it was, but I'm doing this. I'm
A
a bit
small
nervous.
morsel of meat.
Thank God you've been to one, because I haven't. I'm holding a small morsel of meat. Then what happens? And
Then the swan comes down.
the swan came down. So the hawk comes over, right? It comes over. There's a person missing from this story, and it's the mayor, right? The local mayor. I can't say it in I always struggle.
Mayor.
The mayor, right?
So
the mayor
you're
of
standing
London.
next to a horse.
Yeah, so the local... So the mayor is doing his bit, but the mayor has got a wig on, right? The hawk flies over to go and land on my hand, but he lands on the mayor's head, and so he gets caught up in his what should we call them? Talons. He gets caught up in the talons, and then in the sort of panic, the bird sort of he can't release this wig, and he flies off, and he goes into the tree. I said, why didn't he go for the meat? And he said, I genuinely think the gold chain caught his eye, there was a bit of confusion for a second, and he just did a bit of an emergency landing on a Mers wig at Thamesden Fate. What's there not to believe?
At that point, did you cry, oh no, the Mers hers over there?
All right, so David's team is Keith, Bob's classroom prankster, David's blanked buddy, or Lee's hawk handler.
I was believing Bob until the fact that he was 18 and the hand lion. I'm leaning towards David.
I think I'm leaning towards David.
I think it's Bob, and I think he panicked because he knew we were onto him, so he went on a ridiculous riff about a hand lion to throw us off the scent. I'll go Bob, but I've been wrong before.
Tara?
I'm going to go David.
We'll go David.
You're saying David?
Mm-hmm.
Keith, please reveal your true identity.
My name's Keith, and Bob and I recorded voices and hid the dictaphone in the ceiling.
Yes. Keith is Bob's classroom prankster.
I would never have believed all that stuff about a hand line was completely true.
Thanks very much, Keith.
Thank you.
Please welcome this week's special guest, Michael. Right, we'll start with Diane. What is Michael to you?
This is Michael. I once punched him in the face because I thought he was a ghost.
Bob, how do you know Michael?
This is Michael, and after cutting his hair, I got a job on a campsite as a hairdresser.
And finally, Lee, what's your relationship with Michael?
This is Michael. Together, we helped free a donkey that had trapped itself in the cubicle of a seaside toilet.
So there we have it. Is Michael Diane's ghostly guy, Bob's campsite client, or Lee's donkey do-gooder? David's team, where would you like to start?
Well, Diane, where were you when you mistook Michael for a ghost?
I was backstage at the Theatre Royal Bath.
And what were you doing there?
I was in a play.
What happened? You were in the dark, waiting to go on the wings?
I was in the wings.
In the wings, waiting to go on?
And I'd been told a ghost story about this.
Where
the
was
Theatre Royal
Michael?
Bath is haunted.
What was the story?
Well, that the theatre was haunted. They said that about once a week, this ghost, a man with white hair, would float around the theatre.
So you heard that
So then
story.
I'm standing in the wings.
Uh-huh.
I turn round and I see... Well, I know it's Michael now, but at the time I thought it was the ghost because of the hair. And I sort of inadvertently punched him.
And what was he wearing?
He was wearing quite dark clothes because he was, you know, working backstage. He looked like he was kneeling on some sort of prop. So he looked like he didn't have any legs. That's what made me think, oh, my God, it's the ghost.
So he sort of sidled up and knelt on something.
Yeah.
I have to say, I have slightly less sympathy for Michael now. I realise that what he did is he sort of crept up behind you and knelt there. That is slightly creepy behaviour, isn't it? Yeah.
I did ask him why he was kneeling on the bookcase.
Yeah. I imagine at that point he was also asking you why you hit him.
Yeah.
Did he answer you? Was he able to say why he was kneeling on there?
Yeah. He said there weren't any chairs backstage.
All right, who next?
OK, Bob, you cut Michael's hair, and this was on a campsite.
Yeah.
How did you come to... Because you're not a hairdresser, are you?
I'm a hairdresser, David.
You previously worked as a hairdresser, had you?
I'm from a family, I'm the youngest of 4 boys. And in my family tradition is that the eldest is a priest, then a lawyer, then a teacher, and then a hairdresser. So it fell to me to take up the scissors. I was given my first set of scissors when I was 13.
I actually had a pair of scissors when I was younger than that.
Were you the 4th child?
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was more for, you know, cutting out bits of coloured paper.
Oh, no, these were Japanese steels. These were Yasakis.
Right, OK. So... So you were given these hairdressing scissors at the age of 14?
Yes.
Had you undergone any further training or just were encouraged to experiment?
Well, here's the rub. Because Michael, or Mickey, as you know, Mickey the Drink, he's...
Why is he called Mickey the Drink?
Anyway, so, he was one of the first people that I ever gave a haircut to as a young boy. He was one of my friends. And then, fast forward to 1982. I go to the World Cup in Spain. There was Michael, Billy the Pigeon... Gentle Kent.
Billy the Pigeon?
Gentle Kent, yeah.
Why is he called Billy the Pigeon? Oh, he's found his way home.
No, he's a pigeon. Because he had, like, a fat chest. We all went to Spain. We were on the campsite for the England fans. I, as always, gave Mickey his haircut. And the one-man army from Nottingham, the Nottingham Forest fan, caused all the trouble out there. He demanded that he had a haircut.
What trouble did he cause out there?
Well, for example, he rushed to the cafe that we're in and threw a coin like that. Could have damaged anyone. Luckily, it went straight in the slot machine and won the jackpot. It was really rather simple story. So I cut Mickey's hair, I'd done since he was 13.
So you'd cut his hair regularly. You first did when he was 13.
When he was 13, one of the first people...
You were his regular hairdresser.
No, that would be a lie, but I would always cut Mickey's hair.
Yeah.
I was seen doing this, and before you knew it, over the course of the next 10 days, I probably did 50 to 60 haircuts.
And were you paid for these haircuts?
I probably was, but in kind.
Right.
Oh,
because, the only thing any of the English fans could say was huevo solo, and that got you an egg sandwich. And I seem to remember that people, because I was cutting hair, it was always in the morning, that someone would bring me, "Oh, mate, you're busy cutting hair, you have a huevo solo."
So you were paid in egg sandwiches?
I think maybe I was.
And you did 50 haircuts over, how many days?
I think that was probably 8 days.
So you're having 50 egg sandwiches over 8 days?
I mean, I'm interested in the haircuts themselves.
Yeah.
Was there a signature style? It was the early 80s. Were there mullets going on? I mean, what was the look?
It was a feathered look I was expert at. It was called, where I'm from, it's called the foffer. You'll probably think of it like Rod Stewart.
Oh, it's a lovely look.
Layered at the bottom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you still cut hair now?
Oh, not so much now, Robert. To be honest with you, I can't do the new cuts.
What? Did you hear that? I can't do the new cuts. Right, what about Lee and the donkey?
So, Lee, tell us your story.
I was at the seaside. I went to...
Whereabouts?
Blackpool.
When was this?
This was last year, believe it or not.
Last year?
Only last year since the last series and why it hasn't cropped up so far.
Fair enough.
On holiday, or were you summer seasoning?
Seasoning?
Doing a summer season?
I'm not a juggler.
Or were you...
They have comedians in Blackpool.
Or were you giving a keynote speech at the Conservative Party conference?
All right, I was doing a summer season. No, I was on a little weekend break. I decided to take my family to Blackpool.
What sort of loos are these?
Public toilets on Blackpool seafront.
So you go into the loo...
I go into the loo to use the toilet.
Where's the donkey?
The donkey is in the cubicle. The door was shut, and I did that thing where I looked underneath, and I just saw... I said, "You belong, mate."
Which way was the donkey?
Which way?
Which way in was he?
He was actually facing outwards, so the bottom was stuck in the cubicle, and the head was sticking out the front.
So he reversed in, did he?
No, he didn't reverse in. The toilet reversed up to him. Yes, he reversed in. OK. It turns out that someone had witnessed this happen.
Yeah.
He'd gone into the toilet.
Who is this person who witnessed this happen?
It was some guy was in there.
Some other guy, not Michael.
There's a guy...
And he goes, "I tell you what's happened here."
Yeah.
This donkey, and what did he say?
I walked in and I went, "Blimey, there's a donkey stuck in the cubicle." And the man told us, this donkey has wandered in from the beach, you know, where they do the donkey rides, and then someone had used the hand dryer, and he's freaked, ran round, got disorientated, and then reversed into a cubicle. And at this point now, Michael was in there, because the other fellow went out. He said, I'm not dealing with it, I've got to go.
I'm just the one that's here to explain the scenario.
He said, the guy said, I'm not dealing with this one, I've just got a leopard out of the sink. You can do this one. So he goes out, and the donkey's back end was literally stuck inside the cubicle.
How did you get the donkey out?
I pulled the reins as hard as he had reins. That's why we knew he wasn't a wild donkey. There's a lot of wild donkeys as well. I'm pulling at his reins like that, and Michael sort of tried to lean over the back, and he had his beach towel with him, and gently gave him a little, I wouldn't say a whip, that would be hard, but enough to make him try and come forward. But it just didn't work. We could not get this donkey out.
Right.
Died. Join us next week on
At least it was the right way in to use the loo.
Yes, perhaps he was using the loo. That's why he wouldn't come out. He needed the loo.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of that. I say donkey, I mean fat bloke. I remember I was a fat bloke, and I wanted to use the donkey. And he had one of those funny little Blackpool masks on of a donkey. It's all coming back to me now. I got arrested. I did 3 months in Parkhurst. The story.
He's in 3 months in Parkhurst. But since we last did the show.
Michael is a prison officer.
So there we are. We need an answer. David's team. Is Michael Diane's ghostly guy, Bob's campsite client, or Lee's donkey do-gooder?
Well, what do you think?
See, when I heard Diane's story, I thought that was a lie, and then I heard Bob's story and Lee's story, and then suddenly Diane's story seems a little bit more real.
I think it's Bob. I think giving your man a haircut is the truth.
50 haircuts in a week, paid in egg sandwiches.
I don't know that you can do that hairstyle with one pair of scissors. I'm from a family of hairdressers, and I just don't think you can do Rod Stewart.
From a family of hairdressers.
Scissors,
Did you have more than one pair of scissors with you?
No, well, my response to that, Nadia, is a family of not very good hairdressers.
Two sets of scissors? He looks round about Bob's age.
And Bob's haircut?
Yeah.
Can I just say, one final chance, he looks to me like a man who hangs round gentlemen's toilets.
I'm going with Diane.
Yeah. Going with Diane. We're settling. David's team are saying that it is Diane. Michael, would you please confirm your true identity?
My name is Michael, and Bob gave me a haircut and a cancer.
They can actually see photographic evidence of Bob cutting Michael's hair. There they are.
Oh, my gosh.
It really did happen. Thank you very much, Michael. Please welcome this week's special guest, Jonathan. So, Debbie, what is Jonathan to you?
Well, this is Jonathan, and when he was a baby, I used to pull him out of a top hat.
Bob, how do you know Jonathan?
This is my friend Jonathan, and I have brewed 3 award-winning beers with him.
Right. And finally, Lee, what's your relationship with Jonathan?
This is Jonathan. One Sunday, the two of us spent 3 hours trapped in an automatic car wash.
David's team, where will you begin?
Well, Debbie, so you used to pull Jonathan out of a top hat?
Yeah.
So, how old was he then?
About 6 months.
6 months.
Was he a rabbit at that stage? He's grown up into a lovely bunny.
What a cougar comment that was.
He's going for it, though. Look, he's aflame with desire. Look at him.
He's got the right hairstyle to be pulled out of a top hat.
So, where did this happen?
This was in a summer season
Where?
in Bournemouth.
Debbie, how big was the top hat then?
It was a prop top hat, so it was a bit bigger than a normal one. But, you know, babies aren't very big. He was only about this big.
6 months, not very big.
Yeah.
And so...
And was he the son of someone else in the summer season? Or
No,
was he one of the Chuckle Brothers' offspring or something?
No, it was a feature in the show, and we had different babies on different nights. You know, they were like in rotation, and they came from an agency.
So, who would bring Jonathan to the theatre?
His mother.
His mother?
Yeah.
And what would happen to him? I mean, I don't want you to give away the magic trick too much, but where was he stowed up to the moment where he's pulled out the top hat?
I can't tell you because I'm a member of the Magic Circle and I can't give
That
the
is a
secrets
really
away.
handy thing for this game. I like it. Can you come on every week?
Well, don't give anything away, Debbie, but talk us through the trick.
There was a pretend rabbit. And then Paul would lift this big top hat from underneath and tipped it forward. And that's when I would come over as the assistant and take Jonathan out and say, and here's the rabbit's turned into a real live baby.
And the audience
and
went,
I'd be like
boo,
this.
we hate babies.
No, they don't.
How long did they have to wait to be revealed?
Not very long. It wasn't a very long trick.
So they were only briefly on stage before the
They were only briefly
reveal
in terrifying darkness alone.
Which they are in a cot when they go to sleep at night.
And indeed in a womb.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the ultimate trick, isn't it?
Now, who would you like to question next?
Yeah.
Bob, remind us what it was that you've said. How do you know Jonathan?
Because I have brewed 3 award-winning beers with Jonathan.
What are the names of your award-winning beers?
The one that's my favourite is called Kiss the Alderman. That's an IPA.
Kiss the Alderman, an IPA, yes.
IPA. Another one was a stout, and it was called Retail Park.
Retail Park.
And the other one was a lager, and that was called... Not now, madam. It seems funny now. That's why we used it.
Not now, madam. Lager. Kiss the Alderman. Retail Park.
Can I just say, he's written these down, so I hope you can remember them.
How long did you two work together for?
About 2 years ago. I was in a field, Dion, collecting some mud to go and bury at home in my garden. And along came Jonathan, or J-Keg, as I call him. And he said, I recognise you off the telly, you're that Ray Mears, is what he said. And we got chatting, and he said, do you like beer? I said, I like beer. He said, would you like to brew some beer?
And quick!
I said, yes, I would, rather urgently, actually.
I've run out!
And he's got a brewery, JPEG.
Yeah.
It's a lean-to next to a barn, right next to the field where I was. It's quite big, actually. It might be a lean 3 or a lean 3. So I went in this marvellous little brewery that I'm imagining, and we mashed. Well, part of the process is mashing.
Right.
You put a load of hot water in the cylinder, and you have to stir the malt barley.
Yeah.
And I did that bit of it. And I thought, I adore this. Is there any way that I could see this process through, and we could call this beer Kiss the Alderman?
What is the Alderman?
He's an unelected council official. Say, for example, let's focus in on Bolton.
Yeah.
So if Bolton had a large Chinese community, but there was no representatives, councillors, they would say, would you like to informally nominate one of your Chinese community, and they will become an alderman, and they will sit on the council and be able to represent...
Right. No, that makes sense. So we've definitely covered what happens to the Chinese community in Bolton. However, back to the beer story.
Yeah, so... and that was Kiss the Alderman. So we brewed 1,000 litres, bottled it, and it was the top beer in the Kent Craft Ale Society.
Can I ask, my husband is a brewer. What hops did you use?
Citrus hops. One of them's called something and the other one likewise is named as well.
I mean, this all checks out.
You know what? The thing that is the hipster brewing beard. If you were to say to me, draw a brewer, that's what I'd draw.
That's what you draw now. It's very interesting, actually.
Now.
Whereas,
wow, really?
Whereas if someone asked you to draw a brewer 30 years ago, you'd draw someone very different, wouldn't you?
I'd draw you.
Now, what about Lee? Lee, remind us of your claim.
This is Jonathan. One Sunday, the two of us got trapped for 3 hours in an automatic car wash.
Where was it? Where was the car wash?
It was just outside the car. Near where I live in southwest London.
Whose car was it? Who's driving?
It was my car.
And was Jonathan in your car with you?
Correct, he was the passenger.
Why? How do you know
Because
Jonathan?
we can't both drive.
How do you know Jonathan?
I know Jonathan because we're in the same football team.
What is it, to bring your granddad to?
So you were you driving back from football?
Driving to football.
Driving to football.
Washing your car on the way to football. Oh, I'm looking forward to the game, young Jonathan. I really can't wait. But tell you what, let's wash the car first, so that when we arrive, everybody says, oh, Lee's doing well.
You drove into the car wash, and what happened?
So, there was 3 options. It was gold, silver or bronze. And obviously, being from the north of England, I was looking for a lesser metal than all 3. But it stopped at bronze. So I went in and I said, can I have a car wash? And he gave me the token, and I went back out, and I
Was it a token? Sometimes it's a code these days.
All right, then, what he said was, the token is where the squirrel likes to hide.
When I say code, I don't mean riddle. I mean a series of numbers that you put into a keypad.
On this occasion, it wasn't.
You put the token in the slot.
Yes.
You advance into the car wash. The weird things start going.
Yeah, so the big brush at the front that goes over your bonnet, that came towards us.
Yeah.
And then the side ones came. It was the side ones that caused the main issue. They got to the door, stopped, and just kept doing that. And we couldn't open the doors. And it did not stop for 3 hours. I know, it sounds unbelievable.
What? Why don't you climb over into the back seat and get out one of the rear doors?
Because it's a 2-door car.
And I'm assuming this happened before the invention of the mobile phone.
No, that was not true. It was during the invention of the mobile phone.
During it?
During the invention. No, in fact, do you know what we did? We were so stuck, didn't know what to do for 3 hours, we decided to invent the mobile phone. No, it was... his phone was in his sports bag, in the boot.
Where was your phone?
My phone was with me.
Why didn't you use your phone?
Because the battery had gone.
How did you eventually get out?
I absolutely screamed and screamed, and this stranger passing by saw a big button on the thing that said, emergency stop. So he pressed the button, and it stopped, and when it stopped, it reset itself back to how it should be. We opened the door, and I went in. And he went, you're back again. I said, yes, that's about my car. So what's up? I said, tell you what's up. The doors are phenomenally clean.
All right. We need an answer. So, David's team. Is Jonathan Debbie's magic mate, Bob's brewing buddy, or Lee's car wash companion?
I can't believe Lee's story is the kind of story I would have to invent to tell my husband if I'd been in a car with Jonathan for 3 hours. Jonathan looks like a hipster brewer to me.
What do you think?
I think it's Bob. I think they're mates and they've done some brewing together, yeah.
Yeah, OK,
You think Bob met him in a field while collecting mud? He said, come and have a look at my brewery.
Yes.
And we're going to call our beer Kiss My Alderman.
It's not kiss my alderman. It's kiss the alderman.
I'm so sorry. If it's true, I'm sorry.
Rob, you can immediately appreciate why kiss the alderman is much more marketable than kiss my alderman. I certainly call mine the alderman.
But very popular with the Chinese community.
So, David, what are you going to say?
I think my team thinks it's Bob. Yeah, but let's go.
Okay, you're going to say Bob. OK. Jonathan, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Jonathan, and I brew beer with Bob.